I mentioned earlier not understanding the different types of keywords that you can run ads for. There's basically 3 different ways you can go about this. So in quotes, phrase match is awnings near me. What that means is that phrase has to show up in the search, but it could be words before it. There could be words after it. So somebody could type in awnings near me in Dallas, something like that would still qualify as show your ad when they type that in because they used the phrase awnings near me. That's one example. There can be words on both sides of that, but that particular piece of it has to be exact. Broad match is custom draperies near me or custom draperies or just these words, not necessarily even in this order. Just the fact that they used one or more of these words in their search, show my ad. So much more generic, much more broad, as you say, and a great opportunity to spend more money, quite honestly. Might be a great way to ramp things up in the short term, but as time goes on, you're probably going to want to start using phrase match more and more so that you're dialing in on the ones that convert a little bit better. And then exact match means they typed in this exact thing. So unlike phrase match where you can have words on both sides, only show my ad if somebody types in Dallas drapery. If they type in Dallas, Texas drapery, don't show my ad in this case. So having exact match can really help you dial down on what your ads show for when somebody is searching. The other side of that is negative keywords. These are words that if they put into their search, you don't want your ad to show for. And typically these are like cheap, discount, jobs is another big one, ideas, parts if you're not doing repairs. So making sure that those negative keywords are in there as well. So you're not wasting that money on low quality conversions or searches that aren't going to generate very much revenue for you. Competitor names. So we actually have a policy at my business where we will not run ads for our clients on their competitors' names. And the big reason for this is that for the most part, for 99% of the leads that come from this, they'll call, this is an example of Sunshine Drapery in Missouri. Some of the other searches that Google said you should probably run ads for. One of those is Blind Ambition St. Louis, which is a competitor of theirs. If we were to run ads for this and somebody calls and they answer Sunshine Drapery, the customer is probably going to say, oh, I thought I was calling Blind Ambition, and it's not going to turn into a lead. So very, very rarely does this work to the point where we wrote a policy that we're not going to do it for our clients. We consider this a huge waste of money. If your competitors are doing it on you, good for them. Let them spend their money on dumb things like that. We're more interested in conversions and getting people that are looking for something specific and helping them answer that particular question. So don't do that. Here's an example of Made in the Shade and a couple of other, couple companies that are running ads that are not Made in the Shade dealers locally to rank for those specific terms. Don't recommend it at all. When it comes to creating compelling ads, it doesn't mean you have to write these grandiose, fantastic ads. Really, all you need to do is just get the search intent or whatever those search keywords are to match whatever that ad says and make the person think, yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for, and click into your ad. It's not always about the most words. Sometimes it's less is more. Don't forget about some sort of call to action. So in this case, book a free consultation today. So making sure you have that obvious call to action in there so they know what to do next. If you have a special offer, make sure that that is referenced in there so that they know that right off the bat, there's some sort of deal that you're running at this particular time. Don't forget about ad sent. I mentioned this earlier. Basically, if you click on an ad and you're reading that ad and you click on it, when a customer lands on the page that you directed them to, make sure that that page smells like the ad that they clicked on. So it's not something totally different, or it's not your homepage, right? We talked about that earlier. You want to make sure that it matches. When they click on something about blinds and motorization, that they're landing on a page that talks about blinds and motorization. So keeping that in mind is really going to help you as well. Also, give them one decision. So don't overwhelm them with next steps. Just have one obvious next step in mind. Don't give them too many options. They're just going to end up not converting at all. So a couple great performing ads that we've written over the years typically mention location right off the bat so that the person knows that they're in the right part of they're getting an ad that makes most sense where they're at. We also mention a lot of brands here and products and services. And then don't forget about those ad extensions, as in the example on the right down here at the bottom. Some other things that you can do to help with that. Here's a different way to see some of the ad extensions, but making sure that you're really calling out what is the next action, who are we, where are we, all of those kinds of things, and then giving them next steps again. Ad extensions were mentioned. In this case, you've got a couple buttons here because we're on the mobile version. And then we've actually got an opportunity here to put in phone number, a link to book the appointment, a link to their Google business profile, some other things in there that you can add to make that even more compelling. Here's an example, like I mentioned earlier, where they just get more real estate on the ads because they do that. Having that in there can really help get more eyeballs on your brand. I mentioned landing pages earlier. Make sure that the landing pages match whatever they clicked on, that it makes the most sense, and that landing page has some trust factors on it. So phone number top right, obviously, but also calls out location and maybe product. Those types of things are going to help somebody think, okay, we're in the right place. They're not going to hit that back button. If they hit the back button, it doesn't matter. You already paid for that click. So you might as well get them on that page as long as possible. So we've talked a lot about Google Ads. There are other platforms out there. Facebook, probably one of the biggest, second place, I guess you could say. Although I would argue YouTube is probably a better place to go than even Facebook. Facebook retargeting, fantastic platform. After somebody has been exposed to your brand, to get back in front of them using retargeting can be a fantastic use of your money, and difficult to spend a ton of money on retargeting ads as well. There's other platforms you're probably familiar with: Houzz, Yelp, Pinterest, lots of different platforms. Nextdoor is another one that's out there. But there are other platforms. For the most part, Google is the first step, and then starting to get maybe some remarketing type stuff set up where somebody is exposed to your brand, they're tracked, and then you kind of loop them back in on a different platform to see your ads. Maybe they were exposed to you through a paid ad or an organic result from a search engine search, and then they start seeing your ads on Facebook, for example, or Instagram or something. This is a great way to get back in front of people that have already raised their hand in some sort of way. There are other systems out there. We have a system called Email Boomerang that basically reverse engineers visitors to your ads, to your website, to different platforms that you're on, reverse engineers them, and then sends them an email that says, hey, thanks for visiting our website. And sounds a little creepy, but most people are past that worried about creepy phase, and they just understand that's part of tracking nowadays. But this is a great tool to get these types of people into a newsletter list, and that you can start sending out newsletters and stay top of mind. All of that can be seeded from Google ads that maybe didn't convert. There are other ways to still grab that audience and convert them down the road, because not everybody is in purchase mode at that particular point. They might still click on your ad when they're just kind of researching ideas and things that they could do. Ways to capture them and get back in front of them are always great. That's our Email Boomerang product. We also have a product called Postcard Boomerang, which is the same thing, reverse engineers their mailing address and drops a postcard in the mail to them saying, thanks for visiting our website. Here's a QR code to come back and schedule your appointment, that kind of stuff. Pretty cool. So, all right, let's review. We've gone through a lot of different things related to Google Ads. Conversion tracking, an absolute must when it comes to getting ads up and running and optimizing them the best you can. Break your ad into smaller ad groups depending on the different products and services that you have. Understanding keyword match. Go back and look through the different types of keywords. Don't forget about the negative keywords. You don't want to waste your money on people searching for a job or DIY ideas. Make sure you're using ad extensions, that your ads are written well, and that you have very well thought out landing pages and not your homepage on your website, so that they can convert the best possible. Also, don't forget about costs. So potential from SEO and pay-per-click, different depending on time of year, depending on how early you are into a paid ads campaign versus an SEO campaign. SEO takes a long time to ramp up, but the benefits are huge. In the meantime, you really need paid ads to start feeding the system, fueling the engine. So they both work well together, but have very different results early on. Now, when it comes to hiring somebody to helping you with your pay-per-click, a couple things that you can ask them is, how much is my budget going to go to Google ads versus the management fees or setting up those ads? That's a big one. Some agencies will charge a percentage of whatever you spend. So the more you spend, the more penalized you are on the maintenance side to run those ads. So be aware of that. Don't forget about tracking. You definitely want to make sure that they have tracking in place beyond just cost per click or impressions, right? Those are two things that can be inflated and look really good, but doesn't tell the whole story. You really need to know ultimately, what is my cost per click? How much is my ROI on this? If I'm putting in $1, how much is coming out on average? Those types of things. And then make sure you're delineating between paid ads, organic ads, a Google business profile, YouTube ads, all the different things that you're doing, making sure that they're separated from a source standpoint. So you know which different source is generating the best quality leads for you, which obviously brings me to KPIs. Make sure that your KPIs are set up and you know what you need to be tracking. And then if you're driving traffic to specific pages, are those pages going to be optimized specifically for conversion as well? Split testing is another big one. Google makes this pretty easy nowadays, where you can run 6 or 8 or 10 ads and Google will show all those different ads. And as some of them kind of rise to the top, Google will show those more often. But you should definitely be turning off those less quality ones and then rewriting some of the top ones to give them new A/B tests. So always be kind of split testing among the different ads that you're writing, and then come up with some sort of targets in terms of cost per lead. For most people, it's going to be as low as possible, right? But within reality, I think 85 to 160 is kind of an generic average across the US. Your particular location is probably different numbers, but there's still some sort of range in there. But knowing what that cost per lead is, and then obviously your ROI. Thanks for tuning in with us here at Window Treatment Marketing Pros. This was just one piece of the conversation, so let's keep it going. Click right here for the next part, and we'll see you there. Subscribe for more marketing tips for window treatment and awning companies.